Good morning! It is bright and early on a Monday morning, and as ever, you are joining me from the studio. For those of you who are new here, as there are a few new faces, which is very exciting to me, my name is Claire Luxton and I am a full-time contemporary artist, and every week you join me in my rural studio in East Sussex, which is on a farm, and I just share with you my realistic life, slightly more unfiltered than ever as a full-time contemporary artist. So if that sounds like a little bit of you, I would love it if you would subscribe and join me every week. So with that said, as I said, it is nice and bright and early. On Monday morning, I spent so much time outside this weekend, which really fills up my cup. I now have got into the regular habit of going kayaking every weekend. I'm so lucky that where we live, I can literally just stroll from the studio down to the river and self-launch and kayak. So it's literally perfect. But people always ask me about my inspiration, and I always say nature as one of my biggest inspirations. And I think sometimes, because it feels so obvious to me, it's sometimes hard to illustrate what that really means to somebody when I say nature is an inspiration, and not in a literal way. I do use obviously nature and botanicals in my work, but that's not really what I mean when I say that it's inspiration. So when I was kayaking, I realised a way in which I could actually illustrate that to you. So I wanted to share that now. So one of the ways that I do that within nature is colour palettes. Whenever I'm anywhere, if I see a colour palette that speaks to me, and I think nature provides this in such a beautiful, strong, harmonious, unique way, I snap it. I get a video or I get a photo, and from that I almost use it as my Pantone swatch. Now I'm not going to use it in the way that nature has provided, so I'm not doing a painting or making a portrait that is a replica of the photo, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out the sequence of colours, the balance of colours, and maybe use that as inspiration for a future project. So I have a few examples of this. So this one was from kayaking. Then I have another image that I remember really vividly when I was working on my Murrayfield public art installation in Edinburgh, and there were these trees that had this pink, and then there was the earthy wood, and then just the vivid blue of the sky behind it. And I'll put another few options that I have collected just in the past few months, I guess, up on the screen, and I just kind of document these. And that's just one of the ways in which nature inspires me. You know, people say touch grass and it's almost like a little bit of an eye roll moment, but I really think that we've become so disconnected from what feeds our minds, what feeds our bodies, what feeds our souls, that for me, being in nature really just, it has something so connecting and so powerful, and I'm really trying to make that more of my day-to-day. As a creative, as an artist, I'm so sensitive to what I absorb around me, and filling it with the good things, I think really improves my practice. On the topic of inspiration, there was actually something that I found right at the very end of last week that I thought was amazing. I've had basically lots of things in storage, and there'll be some stuff going back into storage, but I found all of my early sketchbooks from about the age of 10, and I mean they are some considerable sketchbooks. I've always been a sketchbook girly, and so I thought I could show one of them to you today. But if there is interest, I'm more than happy to do a whole video which is just sketchbook tours from when I was young up to more present day. But it's just been such a wild thing to discover, and one of the most interesting things is that all of the topics in these sketchbooks are so similar to the topics that I explore and discuss today. And I think inherently what happens as an artist is that your voice is the thing that stays almost true throughout your whole career, but it's the practice that you develop. So it's the language that you formulate to convey these ideas and to explore these narratives that evolves. So I'm really excited to show you those sketchbooks. Before we jump into that, I actually want to go to past Claire from Friday, because I had a little bit of an eventful Friday, and I realised that I think because everything was just happening, I just started filming and I didn't intro myself at all. So let's go back to my up and down Friday in the studio, shall we say, and then I'll join you after to look at some sketchbooks. I feel like my brain definitely has different parts of the day where it is more able to do things than other parts of the day. Like 10 p.m. at night, I really feel like my brain just goes, oh, I know you're winding down for bed, but now is the time to have all of your best ideas that you can't execute, plus the energy to do those ideas. But if I need to do anything, I would say analytical, any kind of poetry aside from this, but any kind of like higher thinking, like educational writing, institutional writing, interviews, bios, reviewing texts, reviewing contracts, reviewing documents, all of that needs to be done in the AM. Not too early in the AM, because I'm definitely not a morning person, but I need to get to the studio by about 9 AM if I want to do any of that. Now, I do have quite a few different legally documents to go through, another interview to review and read through how someone has interpreted what we've said in an interview together, and hope that that's going to be, I think, have myself come across in the way that I would want myself to come across. So all of those are definitely AM tasks. So that is what I'm doing this morning. I wanted to show you first though, because I've been working on that kind of storytelling, like mini film video for MPB, which is going to be over on my Instagram. I didn't have to, but like in the process of making it, I'm basically telling my story of getting my first camera and kind of the journey that I've been on with photography and with cameras. And in doing so, my mum kindly dug out some amazing photos. There's one of me when I was 6 with my first film camera. I think I'm kind of doing a flat lay, so just saying, like super ahead of my time. So I've dug out some great photos, well, not me personally. Thank you, Mum, PA. And then also just some old cameras that I forgot I had. As I said before, you are currently being filmed on a Canon R5. Then obviously my studio camera for my fine art photography is a Hasselblad. But then I just found some other really like fun cameras that I forgot I had. So I thought I would show you the photographs of me, super young, and also the cameras before we got into our day. So we have my Hasselblad baby, which we all saw in the last video. Honestly, just my favorite all-time camera. Then I found my little film fisheye camera, which I haven't used in years, but I think it would just be super fun to give her a spin. I'm going to a medieval festival in a couple of weekends' time, and I was thinking, maybe, do I take her with me? I've got a couple of different Polaroid cameras, but I just thought I'd get my current Instax one. I've got a vintage one as well, and I can't remember the brand of another one I have, but it's not, maybe it is Instax, I can't remember. But obviously these are just great, which I do use this quite often to capture Polaroids of when I'm working on different potential characters, different potential costumes, and I just snap myself in the outfits. I'll show you those in a second. And then I also found this mini flash film camera, which again, I haven't used in years, but I remember the results being just so textural and nostalgic feeling. So it could be another good one to take to the festival with me. These are the types of Polaroids that I kind of document with, because what I'm able to do is either take it directly on the phone and then print them out through the camera, which is what those ones do, or just take it directly with the camera at the time. So it's just really helpful for me to be able to, you know, document the costumes as I'm testing them before we actually get to shoot day. As someone who is deeply sensitive and very emotional and very nostalgia driven and just an overthinker, looking back at old photos I just find so emotional. So Mum said that this was my 6th birthday, and I don't know the brand of the camera, but it was just a black boxy flash film camera. Obviously I'm creating some sort of fantastic flat lay with my badminton rackets. Look at those 90s jumpers. I mean, like, so nostalgic. Then this was obviously another, I mean, the pink radiator and the brown carpet is giving something, isn't it? Then this is obviously a flat lay that I've then created with said film camera. And then I'm not sure how old I am here, a little bit older, but clearly the same camera. And I think this was up at the top of Snowdon. Always loved a hike then, always love a hike now. I am an outdoor nature girly, but just so nostalgic. On the note of being incredibly sensitive and highly introspective, I wrote this poem the other day and I thought I would just read it, seeing as we were talking about the same topic. Narrator. There was something to be said about memory, good or bad. We somehow all became the unreliable narrator of our own lives. The story that was rose or blue was more heat or sorrow than true. But we believe, and so do you. But right now is not sadly poetry time. I'm going to fit some more writing in this afternoon, but I have to do non-creative things, and I'll join you again after that. I'm trying not to be too frustrated, and I'm sharing this because it's probably quite a universal experience, and it's all the bits that you don't see when we're all consumed with the highlight reel of life that is Instagram. But I'm working on 2 really exciting videos for a different project, and they're both kind of exploring creativity and being like building a sustainable life as an artist. And I'm on kind of round 2 of edits, and I'm very diligent at saving things, having learnt the hard way losing things in the past. But I've just gone on to the file, so I've got the edits up that have been requested by the client, and I've gone to open the original like editing file, which has like the whole timeline saved with all of the layers, the music, the voiceover, the captions, all of that, and the sequence just isn't there. I think what's happened is when I was working on it last, there was a power cut, and I think it's like default gone back to before I last saved it, because then I added in another sequence for Instagram stories, and I think it's just bypassed it because the stories have saved, and I think it's saved over the original version. So essentially I could like go in and chop in the changes to the original video, but I think it would make it quite clunky, and I like to, obviously, perfectionist, do, like, it's a really, really, like, I'm really happy with this video. I think it flows really beautifully, and so I think I'm just going to have to construct it again, which this was meant to be. I thought this would be like quite a fast job this morning. Edits are normally something quite smooth sailing for me. So it's not quite what I'd anticipated. And I think the same thing has happened with the second video. I don't have the edits back for that yet, but yeah. So a little bit frustrated, shall we say, but this is the reality of things that happen. And I know in the context of things, it's not a super big deal. And it's just more time consuming than I'd anticipated. So let me get on with reconstructing my two films. Yes, I'm on the floor because it feels like a safe space. I have to tell you, I'm a happy bunny. I'm a happy bunny. As I said, I take saving things very seriously. So after a quick Google, I went through my very aggressive autosave cache, and in the timeline I found a like 99% complete version with all of the layers, all of the audio tracks, all of the like transitions, the music, all saved. So I'm just having a floor break. Oh dear. This is a reminder, everybody, save your work and have backups. I've just come out into the like barn communal area, and there is a free chair. I've walked past it twice now, debating, but I just think when free chair, when there's a free chair, there's a free way. I mean, I think especially as I'm going to be painting so much more, having something that's already a little bit dishevelled might be good. So should we have it? I think we're going to have it. Well, now we have the bonus of a free chair. As I said, here are just, honestly, just, oh God, here are just some of the sketchbooks from my childhood and school years that I found. There's like a whole other box. Actually, I think there's two boxes that I'll show you. I'm just going to show you some photos and then just one of the sketchbooks. We'll have a quick flick through today. And then if you are interested, then maybe we can have a whole separate video. And then maybe if you are interested, we can have a whole separate sketchbook tour chronological order video. It feels like Time Team, but yeah, let me show you the other box and get into a sketchbook. And then aside from those sketchbooks, this is just one of the many, many boxes, and this is quite a deep box of sketchbooks. Also on top is my primary school report that does have how I did in art in it. And I think maybe I'll read it to you next week. But let's go through just like one of the sketchbooks for today. So, okay. I think I'm going to show you maybe this one. So this is from secondary school, and I think aptly because it's titled Outside. So each year we would have a theme, and then each sketchbook would be on that theme. And aside from that, we would also have these like big sheets that we would work on. I don't think I have any of those anymore, which is really sad. But this one's called Outside, and it's from, think year 10. So I would have been about 14. I'm just going to highlight a few of the pages that I think are most like prevalent to today. So we always had like a title page. So you have some very early photography. Not surprising, there are flowers and butterflies, vibrant colours. I don't think any of that's really changed. This was like one of the first pages that really stood out to me. So I've done, I think it's a buddleia. I've done a chalk and charcoal sketch of a butterfly on a buddleia, and then also some pencil sketches of some red and green peppers. And I find it so interesting that the colour and like topically that this was still something that was like very much that I was into. I was always very like experimental with textures. I also really loved this page. I've always loved watercolours. It's not something that I've used in a very long time, but just seeing all of my like little experiments, and then this final watercolour that I did of some boats. And this was from a photo that I took, I think in Clovelly in Cornwall, or is it in Devon? Oh God, anyone from that area, I'm so sorry. But Clovelly is an amazing little town on the hillside, mountainside that leads down to the sea, and it's preserved. And I remember these boats. Another one that felt really appropriate is some watercolour and pencil experimentations of leaf sketches, along with leaves that I've clearly gone out into the woods and collected and then laminated to preserve them. I mean, some things never change. I mean, I'm not laminating much anymore, but my joy for like going out and foraging and then incorporating nature into my work is definitely something that hasn't changed at all. Okay, I was now tempted to not show this, but seeing as you've made it this far in my day and in my video, I think this is probably one of the first self-portraits that I did photographically. Here's baby Claire. And as ever, John William Waterhouse, that's still someone that inspires me today, and my old guitar. And oh, it's so funny to see this, but we all start somewhere, and I think that's an important factor to take away from this. I already know that this is quite a long video, so I won't waffle on too much, but I really hope you enjoyed seeing. I think this week it was, I mean, obviously rolling with the punches, things going wrong, things going right, but in essence I think seeing these snippets of like the photos of me as a child and my inspiration and just finding these sketchbooks just shows that I think it takes years of really taking that inspiration and honing your craft and sticking at it. And I really want people to be patient with themselves and lean into the fact that things worth having do take time, and sometimes that takes 20 years. Who knew? But thank you again for joining me in the studio, and I will hopefully see you again next week. Let me know if you want a full sketchbook tour in the comments. Okay, bye.